All right. Let's dive into this solo travel safety guide you sent us. Should be a good one for anyone hitting the roads solo.
Definitely. It's got some really interesting points, stuff you don't always think about.
Yeah, for sure. It's not just the typical, like, don't talk to strangers kind of advice. It really digs into, like, the psychology of it all?
Exactly, like why these strategies actually work.
So the guide starts with pre-trip planning,
Hmm.
which, I mean, makes sense. Yeah. But it goes beyond, like, just booking flights and.
Yeah, it's not just about finding the coolest Airbnbs.
Right. Like, it talks about the importance of research, not just like the fun travel research, but like really digging into safety stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Government travel advisories are a big one. People overlook those.
Yeah. They're like a gold mine of information. Like they can tell you.
They can highlight like regions you might want to be extra careful in.
Right. Like you might think a country is totally safe.
But then the travel advisory is like, "Oh, watch out for this specific area."
Exactly. So it's about those hidden nuances.
Hmm.
And speaking of being prepared, the guide also talks about booking accommodations in advance.
Oh yeah, huge one, especially for solo
It's
travelers.
not just about getting a good deal, but like
Yeah,
actually choosing places that prioritize safety.
right. Places that have good reviews from other solo travelers.
I remember this one time I arrived in this new city. It was late, and I was trying to find my hostel.
Oh no.
And the neighborhood was like really sketchy.
Yeah, that's not a good feeling.
Not at all. So yeah, booking in advance gives you time to research. You can choose places with 24-hour reception, well-lit entrances.
That's a big difference. Like those little things that deter problems.
Totally. And when you're traveling solo, your accommodation is like your sanctuary. It's where you recharge and feel safe.
Definitely. And this is where knowing emergency numbers comes in handy too.
Oh yeah, good.
Not just 911, but like your embassy's number, the local police.
Even the direct line to the front desk.
Exactly, just in case.
Like a mental safety checklist. All right, so you've done your research. You've got a safe place to stay. What's next?
Well, the guide talks about staying connected.
Okay, that makes sense. Keeping people in the loop.
Yeah, but it's more than just like tell someone where you're going. It emphasizes having a detailed itinerary.
Oh, interesting.
Not just like a general overview, but specifics.
Like flight numbers, hotel names, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So someone back home knows exactly where you are.
And it's not just about sharing it beforehand,
Yeah.
but like checking in regularly too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially when you're moving between places.
Just a quick text or email can go a long way.
Totally. What I found really helpful is predetermined check-in times.
Oh, that's smart.
Like, you agree to message your contact every night at 7 p.m.
And if they don't hear from you,
Then they know something might be wrong.
it's like a safety net. And while we're on the topic of staying connected, let's talk about local SIM cards.
Ah, yes. A must-have for solo travelers.
I mean, it's not just about staying in touch.
Right. It's about navigating, finding cool spots, calling a taxi if you need to.
Makes you feel less like a target. Okay, now this one surprised me. The guide talks about packing light, which you wouldn't normally associate with safety, right?
Yeah, it's not the first thing that comes to mind.
But the guide makes a good point. Like, if you're lugging a huge suitcase around, you're more vulnerable.
Right. Struggling with bags, not paying attention to your surroundings.
Exactly. Packing light makes you more mobile and less of a target.
Plus, it projects confidence.
True. You're not weighed down. You're moving with purpose. I remember my first solo trip, I totally overpacked. I was so worried about not having everything I might need,
Yeah, I get that.
but it made me stand out more.
It's funny how those anxieties can actually make us less safe.
Totally. The guide says you can buy most essentials anywhere in the world, so it's about ditching the just-in-case items.
Mm-hmm.
Pack light, but pack smart. And speaking of packing smart,
Anti-theft bags.
yes, the guide has some great tips on protecting valuables.
A good anti-theft bag can be a lifesaver.
Slash-proof fabric, hidden zippers, RFID blocking.
All those little details make a difference.
And then there are money belts,
Ah, yeah, not the most stylish.
but definitely effective. Keeps your passport, cash, all that stuff safe. The guide even suggests dividing your cash and cards. Like, don't keep everything in one place.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, so if you lose one, you have backups.
Minimizing risk.
I learned this the hard way. Got pickpocketed on my first solo trip.
Oh, no.
Yeah, had all my cash and cards in one wallet. Big mistake. So yeah, spreading things out is key. The guide also mentions basic safety tools, like whistles and personal alarms,
Oh, yeah, those can be helpful deterrents.
especially if you're walking alone at night or in quiet areas.
Even just the sound of a whistle can scare someone off.
Right. but the guide does caution about pepper spray. Its legality varies a lot depending on where you are.
Yeah, always research local laws before packing anything like that.
Okay, moving on to another important point, blending in.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one. It's about minimizing your profile as a target.
I love this approach. It's not about living in fear. It's about being respectful and smart.
Exactly. And it starts with dressing appropriately.
I remember I was traveling in Southeast Asia once, and I had packed all these like bright, colorful clothes.
Yeah.
I thought they'd be fun, but I stuck out like a sore thumb.
It's amazing how clothing can impact how we're perceived.
Totally. I ended up buying some more muted, local-style clothes, and I instantly felt less conspicuous.
It's about reading the room, so to speak.
Exactly. And this awareness extends beyond clothing. It's about being present, paying attention to your surroundings.
Especially in crowded places or unfamiliar areas.
It's like that trust your gut feeling. If something feels off, don't ignore it.
Better safe than sorry.
I was walking back to my hotel one night in a new city, and I suddenly felt really uneasy. I couldn't explain why. But I decided to change my route, walk down a busier street, and the next day I read about some muggings that happened in the area I was originally walking through.
Wow. That's a close one.
It really reinforced the importance of trusting my gut.
Absolutely. And this awareness also applies to our choices, you know?
Right.
Like overindulging, for example.
Ah, yeah. Good point.
As a solo traveler, it's important to find that balance between having fun and staying safe.
But how do you balance that desire to connect with people, especially when you're traveling solo and you meet new people? The guide says to be careful about sharing personal details.
It's definitely a delicate balance. It's about being open to new connections, but without making yourself vulnerable, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about sharing general interests, maybe, but not like where you're staying.
Right, like no need to give out your hotel room number to everyone you meet.
Exactly. It's all about setting those healthy boundaries.
Okay, so let's say you've made some new friends, you're feeling good, you're ready to explore the city. This is where transportation safety comes in.
Absolutely. And the guide goes beyond just like take official taxis. It actually breaks down different transportation modes and the risks.
Oh, interesting.
Like in some cities, ride-sharing apps might be the safest option.
But in other places, it might be public transportation.
It all depends on the local context.
So it's about doing your research and choosing what feels best for you. What about when you're actually on public transport, like a bus or train?
The guide talks about strategic seating.
Okay, I've heard about that.
Yeah, like choosing a seat near the driver or conductor.
Or near families if you're traveling alone.
Those tend to be safer spots, more visible, less isolated.
I always feel kind of awkward about that, though.
Really?
Yeah, like, oh, I'm the solo traveler who needs extra protection.
But hey, safety first.
Right?
True.
True, true. Better safe than sorry. What about taxis and ride sharing? Any tips for those?
Yeah, the guide emphasizes verifying driver and vehicle details.
Before you even get in the car.
Right. Like make sure the license plate matches the app.
And always sit in the back seat.
Exactly. And track the route on your phone, too.
Oh yeah, good point, just in case. The guide also says to avoid traveling alone late at night.
Especially in unfamiliar areas or places that aren't well lit.
Yeah, that seems like common sense, but it's easy to forget.
Especially when you're caught up in the excitement of traveling.
Totally. Okay, so you've explored the city, you're heading back to your accommodation. This is where those security features we talked about come in.
Absolutely. Having a safe haven to return to.
The guide really stresses secure locks, well-lit entrances, all that.
And a staffed front desk, if possible.
Oh yeah, a front desk can be so helpful.
They can give you advice, help you if you have a problem.
Even contact emergency services if needed.
Exactly. And the guide also mentions being careful who you share your room number with. Don't say it out loud in public or post it online.
It's about protecting your privacy.
Exactly. And once you're in your room, use the safe or lockers.
For passports, extra cash, anything valuable.
It's not just about theft, but peace of mind.
Knowing your things are safe
Yeah.
makes you feel more relaxed.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about financial security. This one always stresses me out a bit.
Money matters can be tricky when you're traveling.
Especially with foreign currency and different payment systems.
The guide has some good advice, though. It starts with diversification.
Okay, what does that mean?
Don't keep all your money in one place.
Ah, right.
Split your cash and cards between your wallet, money belt, maybe your luggage.
So if one gets lost or stolen, you have backups.
Exactly. I learned this the hard way. Got pickpocketed on my first solo trip, had everything in one wallet.
No. That's awful.
It was a harsh lesson.
So yeah, spreading things out is key.
And when it comes to ATMs, the guide recommends using them during the day.
in well-lit, secure locations.
And always be aware of your surroundings.
Don't want anyone looking over your shoulder.
Right. Cover the keypad when you enter your pit-in. Be cautious, but not paranoid, you know?
It's about finding that balance. The guide also mentions carrying emergency funds,
Oh yeah, backup credit card or some hidden cash.
just in case something unexpected happens.
Exactly, like your card gets declined or you're somewhere that doesn't accept cards.
Always good to have a plan B. Okay, switching gears a bit. The guide talks about the risks of public Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah, that's a big one these days.
It's so tempting to connect to any free Wi-Fi you find,
Especially when you're traveling and using your phone a lot.
but it can be really dangerous.
Hackers and scammers love public Wi-Fi.
So this is where a VPN comes in, right?
Exactly. Think of it like a shield for your internet connection.
I'll admit I don't really understand how VPNs work.
Basically, when you connect to Wi-Fi without a VPN, your data is out in the open. Anyone can see it.
So a VPN hides it.
It encrypts your data, makes it unreadable to anyone trying to snoop,
Makes sense. So it's especially important on public Wi-Fi.
which is most Wi-Fi when you're traveling.
Good to know. VPNs aren't that expensive either, right?
No, they're pretty affordable these days. Lots of good providers out there.
A small price to pay for peace of mind. All right, let's shift to something a little different. Health and wellness.
It's easy to forget about taking care of yourself when you're traveling.
You're so focused on seeing everything, doing everything.
But the guide emphasizes that well-being is essential for safety, too.
When you're tired or run down, you're more vulnerable.
To getting sick, having accidents, making bad decisions.
That's so true. I remember one trip, I was so exhausted by the end. I was basically running on fumes.
It happens. We try to cram too much in.
I felt like I needed another vacation just to recover from that one.
So the guide suggests packing a basic first aid kit.
Good idea.
Bandages, pain relievers, antiseptic wipes, those kinds of things.
I always pack a first aid kit now. Learn my lesson there. And of course, there's travel insurance.
Oh yeah, super important. You hope you never need it.
But you're so grateful when you do.
It can cover medical emergencies, trip cancellations, lost luggage, all sorts of things.
Like a safety net.
We were talking about that traveler who had that accident while hiking, remember?
Oh yeah, the one who needed to be airlifted out.
Their travel insurance covered it all. Would have been a financial disaster otherwise.
That's crazy. You never know what might happen.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about emergency preparedness. Sounds intense.
It's not about being scared, but about being prepared.
The guide has some good tips, like learning basic phrases in the local language.
If you're going somewhere that doesn't speak English,
Yeah, just simple things like help, police, hospital.
those can be lifesavers in an emergency.
I got totally lost once in Italy, didn't speak any Italian.
Oh no.
But I had written down a few basic phrases beforehand,
Smart.
and I was able to ask for directions, find my way back.
It's amazing how a few words can make a difference.
It really boosted my confidence,
Yeah.
knowing I could communicate a little. The guide also talks about knowing where emergency exits are.
In your accommodation, yeah.
It's something we often overlook, but it's so important.
Imagine there's a fire, you need to get out quickly.
The guide even suggests visualizing escape plans in advance,
So you can react quickly in a stressful situation.
like a mental rehearsal.
Yeah.
And finally, it reminds us to have backup copies of important documents,
Passport, visa, that kind of thing.
saved electronically so you can access them if the originals get lost,
Cloud storage or email are good options.
like a digital safety net. Wow, we've covered a lot today. From pre-trip planning to emergency preparedness, what are your biggest takeaways from this guide?
For me, it's about layering those safety strategies. It's not just one or two tips, but a whole approach. Research, planning, awareness, intuition, self-reliance. It's not about avoiding risks altogether, but about being empowered.
To travel confidently, knowing how to stay safe?
Exactly. And that leads nicely into the guide's final thought. It asks, what personal strengths can you leverage for solo travel safety?
I love that. It's not about focusing on dangers, but on your own power.
Exactly. It reminds us that we all have skills and experiences that can help us stay safe.
For some people, it might be organization, planning everything perfectly.
For others, it might be their people skills, connecting with locals, getting good advice.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about using what you're already good at. For me, I think it's adaptability. I'm pretty good at rolling with the punches.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one for travel. Things don't always go as planned.
Exactly. Delayed flights, missed connections, language barriers, you name it.
It's all part of the adventure.
And it's how you respond to those challenges that makes the difference.
Couldn't agree more. It's about turning those moments into opportunities.
To learn, to grow, to have a good story to tell later.
That's the beauty of solo travel. It pushes you outside your comfort zone.
Makes you discover strengths you didn't even know you had.
Well said.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything from this guide. Packing light, choosing safe accommodations, trusting your gut, being adaptable, even using those inner strengths to travel confidently. But before we wrap up, I want to remind everyone that this is just a starting point.
Yeah, for sure. Every destination is different, every traveler is different.
This guide gives a great framework, but you got to do your own research too.
Absolutely. Assess your own risk tolerance, tailor the tips to your specific trip.
And don't forget those government travel advisories.
They're constantly updated with the latest information.
So check them regularly, especially right before you go.
Travel is all about embracing the unknown, discovering new things.
But by taking these safety tips to heart, you're not limiting your adventure, you're empowering yourself.
To experience the world confidently and safely.
So to all you solo travelers out there, we hope this deep dive has been helpful, inspiring, maybe even a little bit reassuring.
The world is waiting, full of amazing places and experiences.
Pack your bags, trust your gut, embrace the unknown, and embark on those solo adventures with confidence. Safe travels, everyone.